All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending the Northern Colorado Council quarterly meeting. We have a presentation every quarter that we do. And for this year in 2023, we are focusing on, basically we pick a theme every year. And so our theme this year is educating basically all of our stakeholders in all the resources that we have available, all the educational, financial resources that we have available for them. And so that is what we're going to do today. For any of you who are not familiar with Recycle Colorado, Allie, do you want to talk about the mission of Recycle Colorado?
Sure. Yep. So our mission is to advance infrastructure and markets and state and local policies in waste reduction, recovery, and diversion. We are a statewide nonprofit. And let's see, I am the operations coordinator with Recycle Colorado. And then the other staff member is Liz Chapman, and she's our executive director.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Allie. And so our Northern Colorado Council, we focus really in Weld, Larimer, and Boulder County. That's our reach here. So appreciate you being here, Carolyn from Estes Park today, and Scott from Windsor. Thank you so much for attending today. So for our leadership in the Northern Colorado Council, I'm Becca Walkinshaw. I am the chair. I work for Republic Services here in Northern Colorado. Amy Randell, she works for Circular Colorado. She is the vice chair. She is not available today. She had another meeting that she had to be to. We're also looking for a recorder to help us this year. So if anyone's interested in being a recorder or has anyone they know that is interested in being a recorder, we would love to have you be a part of our council. And then Charlie Comendes and Neil Noble are our board liaisons. And I'm not sure if any of them are here. Oh, Neil's on there. So Neil, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I've been on the board of Recycle Colorado for 4 years now, and this is my first year working with the Northern Colorado Council, just relaying information back and forth to the composite board as to what you guys are up to and the exciting things that you have planned.
Thank you, Neil. We appreciate all your support and help on the council here. It makes a big difference. Great. All right, so for our spotlight presentation today, our topic is recycling resources for municipalities and communities. So very excited about this topic. So Randy Mormon will be talking to us about how to use Colorado's new TASP, which is Technical Assistant Program, for local governments interested in establishing new recycling and composting programs or expanding an existing recycling and composting program. And if you are not familiar with Randy, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You really can't think of recycling in Colorado without thinking of Randy. He is all over the place and he's definitely just well respected and does a lot for recycling in the state of Colorado. So Randy he's the director of community campaigns at EcoCycle. He has a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Purdue University, and he also holds a Master of Environmental Management from Duke University. And as I said, he currently works for EcoCycle. And if you're not familiar with EcoCycle, they're a recycling nonprofit based out of Boulder, Colorado. And Randy also serves on the board of directors for Recycle Colorado. He's the chair of the policy committee, and he is an elected official in Arvada. Randy is passionate about developing the circular economy in Colorado, and that it means that he's passionate about making sure materials are recycled instead of landfilled and made into new products and creating local jobs. We also have today, so Randy will speak first, and then we'll hear from Jill Martin and Charlotte Pitt. And what they'll be talking about is how you can customize your collateral for your community, as well as finding grant programs for residents of single family, multifamily, and drop-off sites. And Charlotte, if you're not familiar with Charlotte, she is the Director of Grant Development for the Recycle Partnership. She works closely with communities to develop and fund projects that help them improve their recycling systems. She has been working to grow and improve public recycling for almost 30 years, which is awesome, with experience at both a state and municipal level. She has spent the last 2 decades with the city and county of Denver, leading implementation and improvements in their waste diversion services and policies. She's credited with standardizing and automating the residential waste collection services in the city, including universal cart-based recycling, implementing single-stream recycling, prioritizing community outreach and education, and implementing a robust suite of organics diversion services, including curbside, and successfully advocating for pay-as-you-throw policy. So we are very fortunate to have her speak with us today, or be with us today. And then Jill Martin, we're really excited to have her. She is the Director of Community Programs with the Recycling Partnership. And so after more than 20 years of working for county government in Wisconsin, where she oversaw one of the largest publicly ran recycling facilities in the US, Jill brought her operational and leadership skills to the Recycling Partnership. As the Director of State Programs, Jill understands deeply the value of state and community partnerships. She has seen the impact firsthand from bringing together 65 communities in Northeast Wisconsin to join forces on their regional recycling programs and practices. Her experience and expertise helps communities across the country to build strong relationships and engagement with stakeholders, including partners and residents, ultimately improving recycling across the supply chain. So really happy to have everyone here today. So we'll go ahead and start with Randy. I'll go ahead and turn off my screen and you can start sharing yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Becca. It's great to be with you all today. And I'll get this going here. Maybe. There it goes. And thanks for that great introduction too. Really appreciate it, Becca. It's great to be back a year later with the Northern Colorado Council. And today I'm excited to talk about a new program that we are launching with RRS. So EcoCycle and RRS are launching the Front Range Technical Assistance Service Provider Program, or commonly known as TASP. And this is through the Front Range Waste Diversion Enterprise Fund, or commonly also known as Forward, lots of acronyms, with the Colorado Department of Public Health and the Environment. And so what is TASP? Well, it stands for Technical Assistance Service Provider, and it's a program of the Front Range Waste Diversion Enterprise Grant Program administered by CDPHE and the Forward Board of Directors. And what it does is it provides progressing tiers of direct technical consulting support to Front Range communities at no cost. So it's all funded through the Forward Grant Program, and communities, we're talking about municipalities, towns, cities, unincorporated communities, counties, can all come to TASP in the Front Range and request this assistance and get it. So examples of that technical consulting may include things like zero waste planning, local and regional feasibility analyses, engagement and outreach design and support to local ordinances, stakeholder engagement, program planning, and many other things. So whatever you want to do in your community to get it moving forward in zero waste, we can help. And to be eligible, you have to be a community located in the Front Range. And so that includes all of these counties you see here in blue. And as I said, it includes towns, cities, and counties and unincorporated areas. And we will also be including public K through 12 school districts. But private entities and nonprofits are not eligible for TASP. This is really geared towards helping communities and local governments get moving on the zero waste ladder. And so how can we do that? How can we help? Well, we directly assist local governments to help them increase diversion and reducing waste by implementing their sustainable long-term solutions and goals that they set, and really helping communities meet them where they're at and meet their unique needs. So we can help plan, initiate, or optimize a locally appropriate program, policy, or project. And we can get accelerated access to forward funding for you for those projects. So that's really exciting. And we can facilitate peer community learning as well. So looking at what other communities are looking at the same kind of questions that you might be looking at, and how you might create some community cohorts around those big topics. We have 3 basic tiers of technical support. So tier 1 is any eligible community can quickly and easily access what we kind of think of as a light touch consulting support, which includes things like workshops, office hours, and access to our online library or resource library. And then tier 2 is we're going to really start to get down into the dirt and start thinking about what are some things that we can actually do in the community to get you moving forward. So when you want more in-depth support for specific projects, and we encourage you then to apply to the TASP program, again, at no cost to you, the community, to get that technical support. And that is usually looking at projects for tier 2 that can be done in about a 6-month time period, so short term. And again, we may also under tier 2 be considering how we might group communities together to work together towards similar initiatives. For tier 3, these are much bigger projects, more complex, large scale technical support for things that might take 6 to 18 months, 50 to 300 hours of technical support. And again, that is free to the community, but it's going to require a little more of a process to apply. And we have to get some extra funding from Forward for those kind of bigger projects. So we will go through that process, but we will take you through that and lead you through that if you want a larger project that might qualify under tier 3. And for all of our applicants, whether it's tier 2 or tier 3, all we're really looking for is a summary of what you want to accomplish, what are some of the goals, and what kind of investment the city or county staff can provide to the project. And we will do everything else. So as consultants, we'll decide what the budget's going to look like, what are some of the key components, and certainly work with the community on designing that project plan. So you don't need to design the plan, you don't need to design the budget. Just come to us with your ideas. We might sit down during a 30-minute office hour and talk about what that might look like, and then start to map out a proposal for you. We do not provide capital funding. So communities that are really interested in capital investments, equipment, constructing, building, that should go through Forward or REO for grant funds for that. We cannot provide that through TASP directly. And here's just some examples of what some of this consulting might look like and its shape and form. And you can see it's quite extensive for both. This is for both tier 2 and tier 3. But I just wanted to share some examples of projects which would be excellent candidates for TASP support. And again, TASP staff are available to help communities develop these projects and guide them through the application process to get that assistance that's needed, and also if they need to look at other types of funding sources as well. So I'm going to conclude by saying that we are very excited to have our official launch for TASP on March 15th. We will have an hour-long webinar introducing TASP. So anyone and everyone is invited to participate. Even if you're not a local government entity, you can certainly come and participate in that. I think it's really helpful for members of the community. They may not be on staff, but just to be aware of what this service can provide their community, and then advocate for their city staff or county staff to apply and get that technical assistance. So again, the webinar, our launch is on March 15th at 1 o'clock, and you can go to our website. So it's right there on Colorado, frwd.org/TASP. and you can register for and get information about the webinar. And also we will start doing office hours on March 16th after our launch. And any other inquiries, I encourage you to go to our email, which is listed at front range task at recycle. Now I can't see. Hold on a second. That is .com. Yes, recycle.com. So again, we're really excited about the new TASP program. I want to be out helping communities move forward on the zero waste ladder and achieve their waste diversion goals. So with that, I'm happy to stop and take any questions you may have about TASP.
Does anyone have any questions for Randy on how TASP will work or how you could utilize TASP for your community? Carolyn?
Okay, I'm with the League of Women Voters, so we're in we have a recycling committee, so we would not be we couldn't use TASP, but if we work with our town group and have them, we could be the kickers behind getting them to do something.
Absolutely. And that's what I would strongly encourage you to do now, is to say, hey, did you know about this program that the state is going to offer free consulting to Estes Park if they apply? And it's a really easy application process. It's not like applying for a grant. So you don't have to do all the, jump through all the hoops and all the work that a grant application may entail. So it's going to be a very easy application process. And we will even do, like I said, a first initial 30-minute office hour, just kind of talking through what some of their goals might be and how we might be able to help them. So
Okay.
It's a very easy entry level, but I strongly encourage League of Women Voters to let their town know, let the town of Estes Park know that this is available to them and they should be participating in it, getting the assistance that we can offer them.
Okay, great, thank
And
you.
have them attend our workshop on the 15th.
Yes.
Great question. Thank you, Carolyn. Now, the League of Women Voters can apply for forward grants or REO grants as a nonprofit. So that is an option that the state does offer. So if you want more information about that, we can certainly provide that to you too.
Okay.
Rose, did you have a question?
Yes, first of all, a person was supposed to join in, but he had some problems, so kind of a new member, but I'll talk to you about that later. I'm from Greeley, Randy, and I know they're finishing a study. It should be completed by the end of March, a study of trash. So have they contacted you at all, anyone from the city or the Weld County?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. So again, we'll be reaching out to municipalities and counties as we launch this. But I would encourage you to kind of, as Carolyn was said, kind of nudge them a little bit to get them to come to our workshop and learn more so we can get them started.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry if I missed it. Where would the meeting be, the workshop on the 15th?
It's on the 15th. It is virtual. So
Okay,
if you go, so if you go to the TASP website, if it's not up to date, very soon there'll be information about the webinar.
Okay. And can we sign on to get information, like to the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. And you can also send us an email at that frontrangetasp@recycle.com.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. And you're welcome, anyone can attend the workshops, so you're welcome to attend that as well.
Okay, I will.
Great.
Do we have any more questions? Any other questions for Randy? Awesome. Thank you so much, Randy, for
Oh yeah, you bet.
planting
Thank you
that
for
seed.
letting me take up some time today, just talk about this really new and very exciting program.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so we will go ahead and we will move to the Recycle Partnership. So Jill, do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
Sure thing. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. First of all, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here and share our resources from the Recycling Partnership. And actually listening to Randy is really exciting because I think our resources and what we have to offer complement what's going on at the TASP. So I'm really excited to share with you and just think about how they might work together as I share the resources. So here we go. See if I can share my screen. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so just a little bit about who the Recycling Partnership is, and then I'll get into our resources. Wait, first of all, we want to share the love. I come from Wisconsin, far from you all, and I just want to send you my love on Valentine's Day, since that's the theme of this this session today. So, but before we jump into that, like Becca said, I'm Jill Martin with the Recycling Partnership. I have my great friend and colleague on the line, Charlotte, who is very local, was with the city and county of Denver for quite a few years. And then we were lucky enough to have her join the Recycling Partnership less than a year ago. So you've got a nationwide perspective. I work on the statewide team. And then you've got someone very local on the line as well. So understands the Colorado system. So that's who you have today. And actually, I want to share a little bit. I won't go into the details of our core values, but I like to put them up there because as I design presentations, I think about what does this mean to our core values? And the one that stood out as I was thinking about Colorado and what we have to share is the embrace change and drive action, because you guys have a lot going on in Colorado with the new legislation that passed and everything that's happening and the resources being offered. I really think there's a lot of change in the recycling industry going on in Colorado, and I'm excited for you, and hopefully we can help you drive action, and you are willing and ready to drive the action there as well. So that's my core value that I thought about at the Recycling Partnership as I put this together. So a little bit about who we are. First of all, we have a challenge. We know that less than half of recyclables in the US homes get recycled. So that's a major challenge for us. So at the Recycling Partnership, each day we work with communities and companies to help families in America recycle better and recycle more. And why do we do that? I just said it, 40 million homes in the US cannot recycle at home as easily as they can throw something away. Those that actually can recycle are still putting 40% of the recyclables in the trash. So this is our mission. This is our challenge to help fix that. And how do we do that? Charlotte and I work on a development and an implementation team at the Recycling Partnership, and we really focus on 3 pillars of work. That is increasing access to recycling to residents across the country. And then once they have access, we really hone in on increasing the capture of recycling. So just because someone has access doesn't mean they're getting all that recyclables into the cart or the bin. And then third pillar is improving the quality of recycling. We want to make sure the right things are in the bin because that has a lot of impact on the system. So that's our 3 pillars of work. We do it all across the country. Every one of these dots is a community partner that we've worked with across the country. And they're different colors because we work in different recycling systems. So we work on multifamily recycling, we work on contamination reduction, we study and try to understand the capture and behavior change research as it relates to recycling in the home. We offer material recycling grants, CART grants, and I'm going to go into a little bit more about the resources we offer. But I just wanted to share this map with you so you can see that our work is definitely across the country. And the green states are where we've done statewide initiatives. We don't just go in community by community, but in some instances, we do a very regional or statewide effort on improving recycling systems. So definitely have a lot of work across the country. So far, we have impacted over 3,000 communities in the country. We placed 1.3 million curbside carts in communities across the country, all the way from little Negaunee, Michigan in UP, all the way to Baltimore. So we're talking very, very small communities that you might not have heard of, and very, very large communities and everything in between. So nothing is too small or too large for us. We like to work with all different community partners. So how do we do that? We have lots of money available and resources. So that's what I want to share with you. What we call infrastructure grants. And this is where I think this would actually tie in well with the TASP. We offer capital money for infrastructure grants. And specifically, our #1 grant process that we have is curbside recycling carts. This is kind of like our bread and butter. We offer grants for cart-based curbside recycling collection. We fund up to $15 per cart, depending on the service level. One of our main objectives is to have universal collection where everybody has access and everybody has a cart. That's our primary focus. And so if you have that type of system or want to move to that type of system, we fund up to $15 in grants for that curbside cart. Now, if you don't have that type of system, we also are interested in providing resources to improve your recycling system. So if you have an opt-out program or an opt-in program where not everyone necessarily gets a cart, we still fund some of those programs just at a lower level. And then, like Randy does, we offer a lot of technical assistance with every project. We don't just cut the check and say bye. We actually assign your community a project manager that's with you until the project is finished. So we're there to cheerlead you on, to coach you, to answer any questions, because our team has over 300 years of industry knowledge. We've got a lot of industry knowledge on our team, and we like to tap into that and share it with our community partners. So we also offer technical assistance, and we have an amazing design team that helps with the collateral, the outreach, the design of education outreach materials. So if you're interested in this type of program, we have an RFP available. It's always available. There's no deadline. I have a link here on how you can read more about that RFP. And our grants are really designed to work with state grants. So if there's another opportunity within your state, we call that co-granting. So if the Forward Board has money available for your project, or maybe the TASP or some other resource, we can come alongside that and actually be your matching funds or just offer you more funds to get that project off the ground. And we call that co-granting. So in some states, they have a pot of money that they offer to communities, and we can come right alongside that and offer more funds to make that project happen. So the application's super easy. We're lucky. We are a nonprofit. We're super flexible and nimble. We don't have a lot of bureaucratic process. It would only take a few hours to apply for our grants. And sometimes we can award in just a few weeks. That's how fast we can work. Although we know government doesn't work that fast. Sometimes there's policies in place that prevent it from moving so quickly. And so we're also happy to fund projects that might be 1 to 2 years out, because we know that might take that long to get a project off the ground. We can also put money on the table before you get the final approval from your local government. So if they need to know that there's a commitment in funding before they're absolutely ready to say yes, we can do that as well. So you probably already know a lot of the advantages to curbside recycling with carts. It's definitely more efficient. It responds to citizens' demand, and it can actually reach some of your sustainability goals at a community level if that's what you have in place. Also, some advantages of carts, and I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but you're going to decrease disposal costs if you are recycling more. You can do it with a smaller collection crew. It allows you to automate, and it has a lot of safety savings as well, because it's it offers automated collection rather than having to get out and manually put something in the truck. So what do we know about the state of curbside recycling? We have done a study, and it's called our 2020 State of Curbside Report. It looked at over 400 community recycling programs. And so again, going to that cart, the advantage of having a cart, we know that it can get almost 500 pounds per household of recycling out of the home when you offer that curbside cart, as opposed to the communities that we surveyed in bags or bins. Much less pounds per household is recycled because it's less capacity. And so we know that carts offer more pounds diverted per household when you're able to offer that system. Okay, enough about carts. Let's move on. What if you're a rural community and there's no way your community's doing carts, or you don't have curbside collection? We also know that that's a priority for a lot of rural areas to still offer recycling, but it might not be at the curb. And so we do have drop-off infrastructure grants. So we do fund site development, construction and planning of a drop-off system, including roll-offs and bunkers and even compactors. In some of these very rural areas that we work in, they need help with a hub and spoke. They need to be able to transfer the materials long distances. So we also entertain those grants as well. And none of our projects are done without education. So every single project has education money built into it, whether it's a curbside or a drop-off program. We offer signage and mailers to households to make sure they're aware of the program. All right, more recently, we started offering MRF assistance and material specific grants. So these are for public sector or private sector or nonprofit, but it's specifically for material recovery facilities to capture more material. And these MRF specific grants include polypropylene, PET, used beverage containers or UBC grants, and then the film and flexible. They all have their own coalition and they're specifically interested in capturing more of that material out of a processor. And so we also stick money and help fund projects at the material recycling facilities to upgrade their plants, to expand on what they do so they can capture more material. And if anyone's interested in that, or if you want to pass it along to your MRF, Spence Davenport is our contact. And again, you'll have all this information after this meeting today.
Jill,
Okay.
can I just ask a quick question? Are we going to be
Yeah.
able to get a copy of the presentation?
Yeah, Becca said it's going to be on the Recycle Colorado website, but is that correct, Becca?
Pardon me?
I think Becca,
Yes.
it will be on the Recycle Colorado
getting it?
website.
Yes,
Great.
you'll have access to this.
That's great, because there's lots of links and lots of resources. I don't expect you to remember it all, so you will have it.
Thank you.
Now, this one I want to share with you, it's called the Small Community Education Grant, and it's not necessarily available now in Colorado, but I want to share with you anyway, and then I'll circle back why. Our Small Community Education Grants was designed for the state of Michigan. What this is targeting small rural communities under 10,000 households. We developed a portal which allows a community to go in and design and print these basic recycling educational materials. So you would go in within a few clicks, you design these materials that we have templated up, and then you upload your address list and everything gets mailed to your residence directly from the print house. There's no contract, there's no grant agreement, there's no money exchange. It's all free within that portal. This is a basic tool to provide free recycling information to residents. This one was specifically designed for Michigan, and it was designed for under 10,000 households. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I'm so excited. The Recycling Partnership partnered with 7 states across the country to expand on this portal through the EPA funding that's called the Recycling and Education and Outreach Funding. We just put in the application last week, and Colorado has signed on as one of our partners. So should we be successful, we are going to come to Colorado and design this portal with a lot of help and support, hopefully from Recycle Colorado, to get to those communities to provide basic recycling information. So cross your fingers. We'll find out in April if that grant is successful. And if it is, we will be partnering with Colorado to offer this to all communities within the state. All right. I'm almost done here. We've got a couple more tools to share. We have an anti-contamination recycling toolkit. This is a step-by-step toolkit that describes our feet on the street projects. This is fighting curbside contamination, actually putting a crew on the street, inspecting carts at the curb. But this toolkit walks you through step-by-step what exactly you would need to do to combat contamination at the curb. And many communities across the country have done this. Done our Feet on the Street program, and we know the results on average is a reduction in contamination by 36% in the curbside programs. We've increased participation by 10%, and our average reduction in the drop-off programs, because if you run a drop-off program, you know those are more challenging to fight contamination than say a curbside program. We've dropped contamination by 26% on average. So the results of this campaign are really great. If you're interested, again, it's an anti-contamination toolkit. You can find it on our website. Almost to the end here. Also, let's not forget about multifamily. We're really missing the mark if we're not talking about multifamily recycling. So we developed a toolkit specifically on our learnings from Orlando, Washington, DC, Atlanta, where we really focused on how to improve multifamily contamination and participation. And so we have a guide to multifamily recycling on our website as well. Drop-off contamination toolkit. I mentioned the curbside one. We also have a drop-off contamination toolkit. And we always offer technical assistance with every project, including our well-known best management practices, because we've studied these programs across the country in various communities. So we bring those best management practices to every new community partner we work with. And I don't have to tell you this, you all know knowledge is power. So having these resources available at your fingertips is really going to help you improve your recycling system. And I think that's all. I will open it up for questions, but before I do, I will just ask if Charlotte has anything to add that I haven't spoke about. If Charlotte's still here, there you are, you're right in the middle.
No, Jill, you did a great job. Thanks. I just wanted to reiterate that I am local, so if anyone needs assistance, I'm happy to help. And my email was in the presentation.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Jill or Charlotte? Thank you so much, Jill. That's a great presentation. You have so many resources. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Rose, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say so much information, and I'm very excited about the changes coming, especially since Greeley is getting ready to launch, a new plan. So there's lots to learn from, and I hope I'm part of passing it on to them or getting them involved in this. So, but thank you for the presentation.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Liz?
So a question that I had is I had heard that 35-gallon carts present challenges for automated systems because the claw that comes down tends to damage that small size. Is that accurate? Is 35-gallon, is a 35, because I know a lot of folks that try and increase their recycling will take their trash down to 35-gallon and their recycle up to 64. And one of the things I've heard is that presents problems for the haulers. And I was wondering if you had any data on that, or if that was just anecdotal.
I see Charlotte came off mute. I think she's anxious to say something about that.
So I don't think we actually have any data, Liz, but my experience is you should not have trouble collecting a 35-gallon trash container. Now, obviously, we live in Colorado, so we have cold conditions and ice. And if your automated arms are not properly calibrated, some haulers might lose the cart, like it might just slip out into the truck. This is not unheard of, but it shouldn't be commonplace if trucks are well tuned. And it shouldn't be a barrier to collection for trash. Now, we definitely do not advocate for 35-gallon recycling carts, except for where you have like exceptions, elderly, people with disabilities, people who can't move 35 larger carts. There's always an exception, but generally, we don't recommend that you use carts smaller than 65 gallons if you're going weekly. And if you are going bi-weekly or every other week, we really don't recommend you going any lower than a 95-gallon, because otherwise you run into capacity issues and you lose that the extra recycling.
Thank you. My other question is, you guys had listed different types, and you talked about bins. When you use the word bin on that slide, were you meaning an 18-gallon tote? Like,
yep. Yes.
When we all first started recycling in the very small capacity, and you are saying that using that smallest size is the least effective in terms of capturing.
And bags, yes. I still have some communities in Wisconsin that had put their recycling in blue plastic bags. That's still occurring in some places. And so thank goodness I switched the two major communities in Wisconsin to carts, but yes, bags as well are very low yielding as far as how many pounds you get captured out of a household. And yes, Liz, I meant the 18-gallon totes or bins.
I thought so. I just didn't want to make the wrong assumption. I want to make sure I had the right picture in my mind.
So does this program assume that the town or the local government already collects curbside recycling, and this makes it easier for everyone to participate? Or what?
So you mean as far as offering grants for curbside containers?
Well, when you say you're offering grants for curbside containers, does that assume that there's already a way to get them collected?
Well, I'll say yes, although if a community has no recycling program at all and are interested in moving to a recycling system, we'd love to talk to them. That's where we can offer technical assistance to help them move them through the process. Things to think about, cost analysis of what it would take. And so we have people on our team that would help a community walk them through having nothing at all and asking the right questions to move them toward a recycling program, and whether that's drop off or curbside.
Yeah. Well, we have a drop-off program, and then some people have private haulers that do the curbside, but we don't have a single system for all curbsides. So.
Yeah. Charlotte, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, it does technically, usually we work with communities, and it does assume that the community is taking some level of control over the program, whether they're contracting, whether they're just establishing standards like all haulers must provide recycling services. There has to be some level of local control. I think what you have is what we call open market, where each household just contracts with their own, whichever hauler they choose, and then they pay for service. Yeah. It's commonplace, unfortunately, in Colorado, and it's not as commonplace in other parts of the country.
So it's pretty much a purely voluntary system here.
In some communities, yes.
Okay.
But it's changing. We did some work a couple years ago in Arvada, who went to a single hauler contract. I'm sure many of you know that Fort Collins is in the process of developing a single hauler program. I think that's going up for council approval here soon. So I think there are some local communities that are recognizing whatever tool you use, there's some need to have some level of control, whether it's through policy or actual infrastructure.
Okay, thank you.
I would love to follow up on that train of thought. Is the grant program, would there be any way to utilize the grant program in that open market system? So I guess the vision I have is, would it be possible for a community to use the grant program to provide residents with bins funded by TRP, even though each of those residents might be subscribing to a different hauler?
We do have, our CART grants are, we're still evolving with our CART grants. We have definitely figured out a mechanism to grant private haulers. Our requirement is that the resident benefits from the grant in some way. So if a community has a contract, that makes it easier for the resident to benefit. So if we were to give a CART grant, then the resident might see a fee reduction for a period of time because our grant offsets the capital cost of that CART. The open market system, I don't know that we've thoroughly figured that one out yet, Liz, because we're not sure how the resident gets the benefit if, say, we gave just randomly, Republic Services a grant for 5 residents on one block and 2 on another, and the open market piece is a little bit more challenging. So again, I think the community would have to have some level of involvement. Maybe, we certainly advocate for communities to own their own carts. That way, when they switch service providers, the carts are consistent and you're not losing that resource because it's an asset. Carts have a 10 to 15 year life. And if you're switching them out every 3 to 5 years, that's also not efficient.
Charlotte, excuse me, when you say you're local, where are you located?
I'm based in Denver. I'm just
Oh.
outside. Yeah. So we work remotely at the Recycling Partnership. We are all across the country. But I just happened to be fairly new, joining the team last year.
Thanks.
How often are you giving away grants for the MRFs? That's new to me, and that was really interesting. So I'm just curious how that's working for y'all or for everyone.
Do you know the number, Charlotte? I believe I heard Spence say 42 active MRF grants.
Yes. So we do open rounds. We will put RFPs on our website or communicate that through our MRF networks. We do rounds for polypropylene, which is, equipment that allows a MRF to start accepting polypropylene or improve efficiency. So we have RFPs open on our website periodically. And then also, if a MRF is in need, we have my counterpart on the team. I work with communities. Spence, who Jill mentioned, works with MRFs. If someone is in need of something, they can reach out to Spence and have a conversation. And if it's not us, certainly we'll try to share additional resources for MRFs if it's not something we can fund.
Awesome. And then my other question would be on your collateral that you have. So if I was living in an HOA and I wanted to create, let's say I just had cans getting picked up in my HOA and I wanted to create signage, how would that work through you all?
Yeah, we have a campaign builder currently active on our website, and the campaign builder would be the perfect tool for that. And so that's where any organization, anybody can go on and access our signage materials. We have a do-it-yourself sign maker, and we have a campaign builder. So depending on what you're looking for, we have dumpster signage and signage for like multifamily recycling receptacles. So you just have to take a look at those two tools. Do-it-yourself sign maker and our campaign builder, and both of those are up on our website and available to anyone.
And just to add on to what Jill said, those that website's fairly easy to use. You have to log in and you have to answer a few questions like, do you accept glass? Do you not accept glass? And it'll automatically populate that piece for you. It doesn't include the cost of printing yet. That was the grant that Jill was talking about that we're hoping we'll get that will cover some of those costs. But if you're an HOA and you have a small printing budget, it would do all the design work for you and you'd simply just print it off and get it out to your residents.
That's pretty awesome. That's a great resource. Do we have any other questions or talking points while we have the Recycle Partnership with us? We have Jill and Charlotte with us.
Oh, Jill, you, in the interest of time, you kind of went through that very last bit of the small community grants, especially because we don't know yet if Colorado is going to have access to that. But I would love to hear, do you have any metrics on how successful that's been in terms of, have you seen capture rates or contamination rate differences when a small community has deployed that tool?
Very good question. So we're all about metrics and measurement, and it's very difficult to measure. So this is basic recycling information that's going out to households. So what we do know is how many communities have used it, how many households have we reached, but only where communities have very specific tonnage data are we able to get that information to see the tonnage and if it's increased, because that's ultimately our goal. So we're still working with the communities in Michigan to be able to figure out which ones have that data and to be able to put some metrics to it. And so each community that we work with, if this gets expanded to other states, we will be looking for the communities to see if we can try to work with their haulers to provide that tonnage information that'll give us that metric that you're asking about.
do you have any anecdotal feedback from those communities about how their residents responded to that additional information?
Yeah, we don't from the residents' perspective, but the community's perspective, we do, and they love it. And typically our feedback is heard from like regional authorities or districts or counties. So they take the role of educating on behalf of a number of communities. And this is a really great way to educate in a regional impact way. And it's consistent amongst the region. So that's what we heard is really beneficial. And also MRFs. So we are working with Marquette County Solid Waste Authority that also runs a MRF in Marquette, Michigan. And this is a way for the MRF to educate all the communities within their MRF shed that's feeding their MRF. And so the MRF is actually stepping up and taking a role in education and outreach and educating all the communities that feed their MRF. And we call that a MRF shed, similar to a watershed. And so very good feedback from regional people that want to educate on a regional level, but not specific households yet.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you all coming and speaking to us today. Again, this presentation will be online. We'll put it on the Northern Colorado Council website. So we'll actually have the recording on there that you can go back and watch pieces. And then we'll also have the PowerPoint presentation. And I think we should be able to get Randy's PowerPoint presentation up as well.